Hey there, fellow creators, Ben here from Cinder Studios, and you know, when I was growing up, my dad used to say to me a lot, do what I say, not what I do. Good way to put a stop gap in there for doing something dumb when you're parenting a child, but it's also something I think I need to say to you guys for a lot of the things that I do in my own painting process. Do what I say, not what I do, because here are 5 things that I do that you guys probably should not be doing whatsoever. Stick around. Okay, thing number 1 is using really saturated colors. Basically not dulling your colors out and just keeping everything straight out of the tube bright color. Now this is a sort of a style element for me, but I didn't choose to do it. I just basically ignored everyone's advice about, hey, don't use saturated colors. Because I was like, no, I want my colors to be bright and vibrant. So I paint that way now. And I kind of teach that way a little bit too. I try not to, but it's so natural for me to do it that way that it's really hard to just stop doing it. The thing with using saturated colors is that it's not realistic. And if you're trying to paint closer to realism, or exactly like realism, you're not gonna get it if you don't dull out your colors, either tone them down with grays, or just mixing with your complements to really kind of kick back that saturation in your work. And if you can do that, then you can paint more realistically, but if you don't, you're going to paint like me, and it's going to be, well, bright and colorful and eye-catching, a little less realistic. Okay, the next 2 are about how very poorly I take care of my brushes. First one, if you're going to have your brushes and you're going to be working on a single painting for a while, the idea is to not let them sit and soak in the water super long. You'll see me do this in every painting process video, every single tutorial I do. I just sit, like when I'm not using the brush, it just sits in the water, and it just stays there. Problem with doing this is it starts to splay the bristles out. So if you're worried about your brushes keeping shape, don't leave them sitting in the water. Rinse them real good and sit them to the side. You can do the big cleaning later, as always, but yeah, don't just let them sit in the water like I do. That's really bad. It's just, again, it's something I do. I can't get away from it at this point, at least not without fundamentally changing how I think about painting. Okay, the third thing that I do that you guys probably and absolutely definitely should try to avoid at all costs is how to rinse and clean your brushes. Now, same deal as always. I think I've got a video about doing this, where you just then rub them in soap the way you would in the paint, rub in your fingers, rinse them on the thing. That's all fine stuff. Now, one thing that I do, though, is I just put my brushes back in my holder like this. No. The idea is to avoid doing that so you're not loosening the glue in the crimp on the ferrule. This will cause you to lose bristles over time, and same deal with leaving them in water. Bristles start to splay out. Ideally, you want to sit them sideways. Let them dry like that, preferably maybe on a towel or something like that so it absorbs the water. I don't do this. I was never trained to do it, really. So it's like I finish my brushes, I get the cup that I keep them in, just stick them right back in. Not really a good idea for keeping your brushes in good condition for a long period of time. That's why I have so many brushes. Okay, let's talk about the 4th thing that I do that you guys absolutely shouldn't be doing, and that is palette mismanagement. Somewhere on this channel I have a video about palette management and how you can lay your colors out like warm or cool or just in rainbow order or something to kind of keep yourself grounded so you're not wasting a lot of extra palettes. Again, this is something that nobody ever really taught me, so I just lay out the colors in whatever order I kind of feel like using them in. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be using these 2 colors or some of these colors together right now, so that's the only way I'm laying them out. Good example of how problematic this can be. Here's a few palettes from a recent 3-hour painting session. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and another little one. That's too many palettes. If you've got this much stuff going on, you might be doing something wrong. And there's definitely ways to do that. A lot of times when I'm working live or out at a show or something, and I only have one palette, I'll sit and have my palette knife which they say don't sharpen these. I don't. I do the opposite. I make sure to sharpen this so it's really, really sharp on the edge, so I can use it to essentially scrape that dried paint off my palette as I'm working. Helps on the go, not necessarily a good thing to do when in your painting in your studio. Actually, I just realized this is a tip 4.5 here. When you do sharpen these, you have a higher chance of slicing your canvas open. That's why they tell you not to sharpen them. Again, I do it anyway though. But yeah, too many palettes, keep your colors in better orders and you probably won't have this issue. And the final thing that I do in my studio that you guys probably see me do a lot, that you should not be doing, is if you're going to be standing, and I prefer to stand, I don't like working on an easel super often, but if you're going to stand up straight. Don't do what I do, which is lean over and work on the piece. It's really, really bad for your back. It's a health tip, really, here. My back ends up hurting a lot if I'm really hunching over, working on a painting for a long session. The next day, I'm in a decent amount of pain and I'm popping ibuprofens. Not good to do. So if you're going to work on a flat surface in any capacity, think about your posture and don't be stupid like me. So those are the 5 things, well, some of the 5 things that I do in my studio when I'm painting that you guys should not be doing. Just because you see them in one of my videos and see me doing them doesn't necessarily mean that's good advice or good practices. Doesn't necessarily mean you should be imitating everything I do. Do what I say, not what I do, because I do a lot of things that are not really good in terms of painting, and they're kind of bad habits. But that's how I paint. I'm not in the mood to change, and I don't feel like it. So that's it for today. If you enjoyed this and learned something, go ahead and hit that like button. Always helps things out. Check out my social links in the description box below. Feel free to let me know your thoughts and comments. Keep on creating, and this has been Cinderblock Studios. See you guys next time. Oh my God, my nose is so itchy!